Okay. So about cold, flu, and immunity. First, cold and flu, everybody would have had a bout of cold and flu at least thrice in a year. So adults get at least thrice in a year, and children below the age of 5 years get at least 7 times in a year. If you get 3 times in a year, which means you are normal, and if you get 7 times for like children less than 5 years, it will be 7 times in a year. You will get cold or flu, or cold and flu. What are all the causes and how we can differentiate between bacterial viral infections? What does immunity do in it? That's what we're going to see in the first 10 minutes. So first, cold, you all know the symptoms. Can someone tell some symptoms? Can you unmute and tell what all by cold and fever, what all will a person have? Can anybody in the audience unmute and tell? Or you can put it in the chat box also. Running nose. Yes, very good. Can someone else tell? Cough. Okay. So we will have running nose, cough, sore throat, and then heavy breathing, headache, very good, and then body pain. Okay. So now this is common to any cold or any fever. But there are differences between bacterial and viral. Okay, knee pain. Yes, sometimes we may get knee pain, especially in viral infections like dengue, we'll get joint pains. A knee joint is mostly weak in everybody. Any joint which is weak will get the pain. So that is how it is. So with difference between, why do we not to know whether it's caused by bacteria or virus? Okay. So usually bacterial causing cold or sore throat will first be restricted only to the throat. You may have a fever, but mainly it will start with sore throat and then it will have fever. That's it. But if it's going to be viral, then you will have cold, cough. It will be systemic. It will be throughout the body. The symptoms will be throughout the body. There will be general weakness, tiredness. That's called fatigue. And also you will have body pains, running nose, cough, sneeze, then watering eyes. These are usually the symptoms of viral. But if you ask me whether you can clearly distinguish with symptoms alone, no, it is not possible. But why do we not know the differences? See, bacteria are generally present in our body, usually also in our skin, in our stomach, called the gut. So these bacteria are helpful bacteria. But the same bacteria, when the immune system is low, or whenever there is another viral infection coming in, these bacteria may become harmful. That is why even in viral infections, some doctors will prescribe antibiotic. Usual antibiotics are against bacteria only, but they may prescribe in viral infection to prevent secondary infection. That is, your body is normal, a virus has come, it is causing some infection, but during that phase, because the immunity is now trying to fight the virus and it's being little low, that time this good bacteria can also become harmful, or you can contact the other bacteria from the environment which may cause an infection, and that could be the only reason when antibiotic can be given. But otherwise, for viral cold and fever, antibiotic is not needed. That is why we want to know the difference between bacterial and viral. If you have sore throat and fever, you can take antibiotic with doctor's advice. Otherwise, only symptomatic treatment for viral infections. Why? Because there are no antivirals prescribed for cold and flu. Only for severe infections like hepatitis B, HIV, for those they have antivirals, not for the common cold or flu. Because common cold or flu, virals will take 7 to 14 days to settle down. You need to just maintain the symptoms. That is the treatment against the symptoms. Doctors will tell you to take rest. If you have low, if you're very much, you're very weak, they'll give some IV fluids. They'll ask you to drink a lot of warm fluids. Take paracetamol to bring down the fever. Treat the symptom, but not antibiotic. So common cold and flu usually are caused by viruses. And the severity and duration and type of symptom differ greatly. So rhinovirus, coronavirus, these are all, like coronavirus has been existent for a long time. But now only after COVID-19, we have been really, because that variant caused a havoc. And influenza, you would have heard the term influenza. So influenza, rhinovirus, these are different types of viruses, but majorly it's rhinoviruses, which are the simple cold. Okay. And between common cold and influenza, what is the differences? Common cold will have starting with headache, sneezing, chillness, and sore throat. That's it. And then you may or may not have fever. This will last up to 7 to 10 days. But some symptoms may last even up to greater than 3 weeks. Typically, no fever. But if you have sudden with fever, headache, and then sore throat, myalgia means body pain, then cough and fever, if you have in combination, it's usually influenza with 80%. Okay. And then the antivirals are not given in common cold, but for influenza, if they know the strain H1N1, H5N1, then they may give antivirals. Doctors may give antivirals, but we cannot take any antiviral anytime. Even antibiotic, we should not take on our own. And so these are some conditions. As I said, when you have a sore throat, it could be bacteria, antibiotics are needed. And urinary tract infection, yes, it is usually caused by bacteria, so antibiotics are needed. Whooping cough, not in our country, in Western nations, yes, antibiotic are needed. Sinus, bacteria or virus. Middle ear infection, bacteria or virus. Bronchitis, bacteria or virus. So for these two, doctors will decide. But common cold, flu and sore throat with fever, it will be usually virus. When it's full body, you cannot take antibiotics. Why am I stressing on not taking antibiotics? Because now the antibiotics are killing us. It is because when we take antibiotic without any reason or cause, it causes antibiotic resistance. So when there is a real disease which needs an antibiotic, that antibiotic will not work. That is called AMR, antimicrobial resistance. For example, there is one drug called colistin. It is the highest level of antibiotic. Now it has only 96% E. coli against E. coli, 90% with Klebsiella, which means if we are getting an infection which is resistant to the common antibiotics, when common antibiotics don't work, we can go to higher level antibiotics and colistin, but they may also not work. And that is why most of the patients in the ICU die because of this resistance. So never ever take antibiotics without doctor's prescription, and only when it is needed, doctors will prescribe. Okay, because we think cold and flu, we take antibiotic immediately. Okay, so this is where our immune system is needed, because for virus, the only treatment is immune system should prep it itself to act against. So whenever a virus or a bacteria enters the body, the immune system will know. For bacteria, the antibiotics will help to fight directly by killing the bacterial cells, and immune system also follows. But for virus, it takes 3 to 4 days for something called T cells in your immune system to get activated. It should get to know the virus, and then only it starts activating. So for the first 3 days, it will be very severe. And after that, the lymphocytes start fighting. But when it is not able to fight, then only the fever continues for more than 7 days. And then after that is why doctors say wait for 3 days. If it's not getting down by 3 days, come to us and they will prescribe the right symptomatic treatment, so that if you reduce the fever, if you reduce the body pain, then the body will be prepped up. The immune system will get activated by then and kill the virus. And that's how you can recover from a viral infection. There is no antibiotic for a viral infection. So, and why we say during cold weather, we get more illnesses, because the immune system is low. Because vitamin D, which is needed for the immune system to function properly, sunlight will be less. There will be increased time indoors. There will be lower immune response, narrower blood vessels. That is why we get more viral infections during cold weather. And again, actually during fever, it's always advisable to drink warm water and hot fluids, because why cold water is, cold water will increase mucus production, the cold which is being produced, no, which will exacerbate cold. That is why you should not drink. So this is kind of to know that always the immune system plays a major role. And for immune system to function properly, what you eat is important, like gut, because the bacteria in the gut should produce normal metabolites and factors to keep your immunity strong. So probiotics are there, which are actual microbes which you take when you eat properly the probiotic food, and prebiotics are there, which are food for the microbes. All this Dr. Amuda will be speaking. Now I have told. So the take home point is, you cannot take antibiotics for a viral cold and flu. You need to prep up your immune system. For that, I request Dr. Amuda and Mrs. Neha to continue. Thank you. Namaste. You have to unmute Amuda ma'am.
Sorry. Namaste and thank you. And namaste all. Good evening. I'm Dr. Amuda. So I'll be covering the naturopathic remedies which we'll be practicing, like which we can practice at home when we have cold and flu. So let me just share my screen. Yeah. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes. So before we move into this, I would like to spend some 10-15 seconds in asking you all, like, what and all home remedies do you do, like when you have cold or flu or fever, or, you know, when you're feeling tired or something? What kind of home remedies do you follow, especially during cold and flu? You can put it in the chat box. Yes, what kind of remedies you do? Ma'am, are we receiving anything? Just
No, yes, ma'am. Kashayam,
yes.
ginger and
Okay.
honey, hot water, increase fluid intake, soup, ginger, kashayam, tulsi kashayam, hot rasam.
All
Tulasi
right.
and
Yes.
basil is kashayam. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you all. So let me just go back to my screen. Just a minute.
And tulasi leaves, ginger and honey also. One guava leaf, papaya leaf, tulasi also. Few.
Yes. All right. Okay. So all of you have almost told most of the remedies, but I'll be talking about why we'll have to follow these remedies. What are the scientific benefits behind all these? Yes. So moving on. So I'll directly jump to what we can do when we have cold. So during the episode of cold and flu, what and all are we supposed to do? So the first and foremost thing is hydration. Hydration, as you've all mentioned, and also as ma'am mentioned, warm fluids in any form, be it just normal water, or be it in the form of herbal teas, or be it in the form of kashayam, or even gargling or rasam. Yeah, warm fluids need to go inside. So as just like ma'am told, the mucus production will also be less when you take in warm fluids inside. And also what happens is in hydrotherapy is a aspect of naturopathy where it mainly focuses on the therapeutic effects of different temperatures of water. So when you take in something warm inside, what happens is your blood vessels tend to dilate. So blood vessels dilation in the sense the blood vessels expand. So once your blood vessels expand, what happens is there's a good blood flow to all of your organs. So now here, for example, when you have cold, you always tend to have almost like throat irritation or nose block or something. So that means there is no proper blood flow. Something is obstructing the blood flow over there. So when you have some warm fluids, what happens is the blood vessels expand. So there is good blood flow, there's good oxygen flow, there's good nutrient flow. So that is why you feel good. Anything which is congested, you feel very uneasy, you feel discomfort, you feel pain. And once that is relieved, no, you be at ease. So that is why warm fluids are important. And then in hydrotherapy, we also suggest steam inhalation with eucalyptus oil. The same thing. Steam is also something which is warm or hot. And that when it touches the nose and also the outside of your face, what happens is it's going to dilate all your blood vessels all over your face and your nose. So in case if you're experiencing any kind of sinus problems like sinus blockages, sinusitis, or even headache because of the cold and fever, all this will get released and relaxed when you do a proper steam inhalation with eucalyptus oil. And why eucalyptus oil? Because eucalyptus oil has a component called as eugenol. So this eugenol is also helpful in relieving the pain, relieving nasal congestion, and also relieving throat irritation. Yes. So next we'll move on to herbal and other remedies. So these are like just the normal things which we follow at home. So the first will be salt water gargling with a pinch of turmeric. So this is something which we will have to plan and do it accordingly. So why? Because salt water gargling should be done with a water which is warm, not neutral water, warm water. The warm water and the salt, which is sodium chloride, when mixed with a pinch of turmeric, which has curcumin, will actually act as antibiotic. Ma'am has been speaking about antibiotics. So these are natural antibiotics. Yes, so we don't need to rely on supplements per se. If we do this like continuously for some 2-3 days, you will definitely start feeling some effect on this. So saltwater gargling with, you can use rock salt or powdered salt, that is up to you. And a pinch of turmeric with warm water. You will just have to gargle it maybe like twice or thrice in a day, and that is going to relieve you of all your throat irritation. Again, warm, something is going and touching the throat, it's going to expand your blood vessels, and if there are any infections inside, that is going to kill the microbe which is causing the infection. So that is going to act as an antimicrobial or an antibiotic per se. And then come your honey and lemon. So this honey and lemon, you can drink it in the form of tea also. Like say, for example, just boil like 100 to 150 ml of water, and then once it's like warm enough, like it's at a bearable temperature where you can drink it, you will just have to add 2 drops of lemon and a very 1 or 2 drops of honey. So why lemon and honey combination is, honey is proven to be a natural cough suppressant. So any kind of throat irritation or any kind of throat pain or throat infection, honey is proven to soothe it down. So it's a natural cough syrup. So not like the ones which we get outside, but it's a natural cough syrup which acts as a cough suppressant. And then comes your lemon. Why lemon is because lemon is rich in vitamin C. So this vitamin C is very important for our proper immune cell production. So we have different kinds of immune cells like T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, macrophages, cytokines. So all these cells, they get produced in a very good manner. The quality of the cells, the functioning of the cells, the repair and production, everything will be in balance when you start taking a good amount of vitamin C in your diet. And then come your ginger and turmeric tea. So in ginger, you have a component called as gingerol. And in turmeric, you have a component called as curcumin. So these two, again, are natural antibiotics. And then comes your raw garlic. So raw garlic, in the sense, you can preferably have like 1 or 2, I won't say 1 or 2, maybe 4 to 5 buds of garlic raw if possible. Otherwise, if you do not prefer it raw because of the taste and because of the smell, you can always steam it and you can have like 4 to 5 cloves of garlic, or you can add it in your rasam and you can drink it. But garlic has a component called as allicin, which again is a very good antimicrobial or an antibiotic. And then comes your pepper with honey. So this pepper with honey, how we'll have to make is, we have the whole peppers in our house, right? So we'll just have to take it and grind them with our own self. Like you can use a chapati maker and then you can just grind the pepper into a fine powder. And then you need to add 1 or 2 drops of honey, mix it up. You'll get a semi-solid paste kind of mixture once you mix them, and then you'll just have to have it. You can have it either on empty stomach, or you can have it like 45 to 50 minutes after food. So what does this pepper and honey combination do is, it acts as a natural expectorant. By expectorant, I mean you will have phlegm inside. So when you have cold or when you have flu, you have a phlegm. So that is what is coming out. That's what we call as mucus. So for that mucus to come out naturally, this pepper with honey combination will help. And then come your probiotic and prebiotic food, which I'll be talking about in the next slide also. So the probiotic and prebiotic food, as ma'am mentioned, your gut health is very important for not just your physical health, but also for your mental health. So gut is linked to both your brain and to your physical body. So to maintain your gut health or your gut microbiome, you will have to take in proper amounts of probiotic and prebiotic food in your diet. So you will have to focus on your diet even during your fever episode, so that you have a very balanced food which has a proper amount of probiotics and prebiotics. And then the most important thing is, you will have to avoid dairy. Dairy and dairy products are to be avoided when you have cold and flu. Why? Because they tend to increase your mucus production. As ma'am has already told, once the mucus production starts to increase, it will get more congested. Your nasal passages, your throat passages will get more congested. So it won't be easy for you. So the more you avoid dairy during your cold and fever, the more better you will start feeling. Yes, and then we'll talk about rest and relaxation. Rest is very, very important, because only when you take rest, the body goes into a restorative mode. Yeah, so adequate rest in a well-ventilated room with fresh air and sunlight. Not AC rooms, not air-conditioned room, but very, well-ventilated with fresh air, fresh oxygen. And if possible, if you're resting in the daytime, make sure that there's a good sunlight in the room. Why? Because first thing, fresh air is gonna improve a good amount of oxygen level in your body. Yes, and next is your sunlight. So sunlight, why I tell you is once the sunlight touches your skin, there are some components on your skin which when mixed with the UVA and UVB rays of the sunlight, they tend to improve your immune cell production. They tend to improve the capacity of your immune cells to fight against the disease causing organism. So you will have to expose yourself to sunlight at least for at least minimally, so that you feel good and also you support your immune system in a natural way. So that even if you have fever, that doesn't mean that you sit in a room and then you cover yourself and rest. That is not like that. You will have to expose yourself to fresh air and sunlight to support your body's healing crisis. And next is warm compress and facial steam. Yes, again, I've already discussed that. It's going to help in relieving the sinus blockages and also the nasal congestion. And then Epsom salt bath. Epsom salt bath is for, you get this Epsom salt crystals in market, which is nothing but magnesium sulfate. So these Epsom salt baths will actually help in relieving your body pain, which you have during fever. So the magnesium sulfate, that is what is Epsom. So that is actually proven to reduce the myalgia, that is the muscle pains which you get when you have fever. Yeah, so we always prescribe Epsom salt baths during fever. That is again warm, not cold. And then lastly, we'll talk about yoga and pranayam. So yoga, like basic yoga exercises or minimal walking, and then pranayama like Nadi Shuddhi or Anulom Vilom, and relaxation techniques like Yoga Nidra or DRT will help you calm yourself down. We will all be like very stressed once we fall ill, no? To combat that stress, because the more stressed you are, there's going to be a more stress hormone release. The hormone is called as cortisol. So once that cortisol hormone is like very high in the body, it is actually going to suppress your immune function. So once your immune function is suppressed, then you won't be able to recover. So for that, you will have to keep your stress levels at bay, for which yoga and pranayam will be helpful. So moving on to prevention and care. So before and after cold or flu, what will you have to do? One is having a very good diet and very good nutrition. As I've already mentioned, vitamin C. Vitamin C rich foods like lemon, oranges, amla, and then yes, you can have all these vitamin C rich, like you can take one amla per day or one orange per day, or you can take in like lemon in the form of hot lemon tea. Like that, you will have to try and include a lot of vitamin C rich sources of food in your diet, and also zinc. So like nuts, seeds, beans, whole grains in your diet. So vitamin C and zinc, when taken in your diet in an adequate amount, they tend to improve your immunity. Right. And then your garlic, ginger, and turmeric, which I've already told that they are actually natural antibiotics or antimicrobials. So when you keep having them in your diet regularly, so simultaneously, your immunity is also gonna improve. Yeah, so you have this antimicrobial ready in your body. It's stored in your body. So when there's any infection, it's gonna come and it's gonna attack and it's gonna be fine. Yes, and next is gut health, probiotics and prebiotics. You will have to include even during flu, even after flu, and even before flu. Right. So these probiotics are nothing but food which have the bacteria, and prebiotics are food for the bacteria to grow. Yes. So these two should be included in your diet and not just one. And then as your lifestyle tips, as we already spoke about hydration. Hydration, not just during fever, but even before and after fever is very, very important. A minimum of 3 to 3.5 liters of water per day is actually very essential. Why? Because water actually, it's going to flush out the toxins in your body. It's just going to flood out the toxins from your body. And it also improves circulation, and it also improves your immune cell repair. If there's something wrong with your immunity, if your immune cells are not functioning properly, the more water you drink and the more the immune cells will start to heal. So water is the major key, what to say, I can just say instrument which is going to help in immunity. And then adequate sleep. As we already mentioned, sleep is a restorative process for the body. So only when you sleep, your body will not only physically rest, but also mentally and internally rest. It will be a rest for your entire organs inside. Your body is functioning like 24/7. So I mean, throughout the 24 hours, 8 hours of rest the body needs for enhancing the immunity, for enhancing your mental health, for decreasing your stress levels. For everything, sleep is very important. So you will have to make sure that you get adequate sleep. Regular practice of yoga, yes, to manage your stress, to keep your weight at a check. Yes, and also stress management to keep a bay at your cortisol levels. Hand hygiene. Frequent hand wash is always considered the safest to avoid any kind of infections. So maybe every 1.5 hours to 2 hours, wash your hands nicely for some 20 to 30 seconds using a good hand wash soap. Try to rub in between your fingers, back of your fingers, and your entire hand, because the germs tend to go and reside even on the bridge of your fingers, in between your fingers, into your nails. So those are places which we forget to clean often. So spend some good time in hand washing, spend some 20, 30 seconds to hand wash, and then do it very frequently to avoid further infections. And then sun exposure, as we already discussed in the last slide, it's very important because it improves your mood. First thing, it also improves your immunity, and it also improves your it decreases your stress levels. Yeah. Right. And then avoiding triggers and other treatment modalities. So first, what you will have to avoid in your diet is limiting your sugar and processed foods. Why sugar and processed foods is, these tend to increase the insulin resistance in our body. We have a phenomenon called as insulin resistance. Okay. So this insulin resistance, when this occurs in the body, this occurs because of high sugar intake or high processed food intake. So when there is high increased insulin resistance, what happens is there is going to be an increased level of cortisol. That is the stress hormone in the body. And once there's increased level of cortisol, what happens is your immunity comes down. Yes. So for this, what we'll have to do is we'll have to keep our insulin resistance at bay. For that, we will have to limit our sugar and your processed food. And once your insulin resistance is down, your cortisol levels go down and automatically your immunity goes up. So we'll always have to keep in mind to avoid sugar and processed food to a maximum extent. And other treatment modalities which can help in improving your immunity include like essential oils, like aromatherapy, where we prescribe lavender oil, tea tree oil, chamomile, eucalyptus, etc. for improving your immunity, as well as an naturopathy doctor will be able to give you acupuncture points like GB20, Li4, Li11, etc. And massages like back massage and foot massage, they help in immunity because they tend to improve lymphatic drainage. So blood and lymph, once there is proper flow of blood and lymph, there will be a very good immunity overall. Yes, so then yes. So this is actually some examples of probiotic and prebiotic foods which we have been talking about. So your probiotic foods will be paneer, curd, idli, buttermilk, dosa, green peas, soya milk, pickles, and dokla. Prebiotic foods will be green bananas, apples, radish, onion, garlic, cabbage, etc. Yes, so these will be your prebiotic and probiotic foods, which we usually use, but we are not aware of its significance. So now that we know the significance, just make sure that your diet is rich in all of these. And lastly, I'm just sharing some basic asanas and pranayam, which tend to improve the immunity of a person. So in asanas, we have asanas like Sashankasana, Trikonasana, Sedabandhasana, Bhujangasana, and Viparita Karani, which improve the circulation and which also enhance the balance of your lymphocytes. And pranayam, again, to improve the oxygen capacity, the vital capacity of your lungs, to enhance good deep breathing, to enhance the flow of air. So for this, we'll have to do lots of pranayam and also relaxation techniques to keep your body stress levels at bay. Yes, so with this, I end. And before I end, I would like to inform everybody that these are just, as ma'am told, these are just a general for educational purposes only. Please do not take it as a personalized plan, because in naturopathy, we believe that every body is different. So every treatment modality will differ to every person. Yes, so before you start any kind of yoga practices or diet or even kashayam, please consult a professionally qualified naturopathy doctor, and then you can start, because every body is different. I repeat, every body reacts in a different way to different treatments. So please consult your doctor and then you can start. Yes, so with this, I end with my presentation. Thank you all. Over to you, Neha ma'am.
Thank you, Amuda ma'am. So, namaste all. My name is Neha and I am a psychologist. So, you all must be thinking why a psychologist is there in a session for cold and flu. So, this is basically related to immunity. Our psychology, our thoughts, the way we think and behave affects our immunity. And when this gets affected, our nervous system gets affected through the psychology. That is how we get all these diseases, or our immunity improves and we are able to avoid all these diseases. So let us just have a look at how our psychology can help us recover from cold and flu. So this is how it looks. So as you can see in this slide, the endocrine system, that is the system of the hormones, the nervous system, system for nerves, and immune system are all the three related. Okay, each affecting the other. So when stress affects any one part, when we are so stressed, sometimes the pituitary gland, which is the main endocrine system, gets affected. Or when we are very stressed, our nerves start getting weak. Or when we are very stressed, it directly affects, like Amuda ma'am was saying, the cortisol levels. That gets up. That is affected by stress. And once the cortisol levels they increase, they affect our immune system. They affect the formation of the army, that is the immune system of our body. Okay, so if we are able to control stress, all the three parameters will not be affected and our immune system will be healthy. So how can we do that? Let's discuss. Okay, before I go to this question, I want you all to answer. Before I go to this part, I have a very short question for all of you. How many of you think that resting is not right? If I am sick, I should not rest. If you believe so, or if you have been taught so, or that is how the society has influenced you so, please write in the chat box. How many of you feel that, oh my God, I'm sick and I cannot rest? Oh my God, no, I should not rest. Like things like, what will happen to my productivity, my work? I cannot take a leave. All the work will stop. Tomorrow I have a presentation. Today I have to submit this. I cannot take a leave. And then the society is telling us, you know what? In our time, we used to never fall sick. Even if we used to fall sick, we would always be very strong. We'll never go and take rest. Or things like, oh, if I'm sick, who will take care of my house? Who will take care of my children? Feelings of being burdened. When I'm sick or when we are sick, we feel like, I'm a burden on everyone. What should I do? So how many of you have this guilt of resting? I can see a few answers in the chat box. Yeah, yes, Mr. Yes, Ms. Satya Sundari, I'll take care of myself, or we need to rest. Very true. Then, exactly. So, resting is something that depends. Yes, Suman Surendran, yes, depends on your manager and your company as well. Very true. But most of us as adults have this problem. We have this guilt of resting even when we are sick. So today we will discuss about prioritizing ourselves. We need to relax. We need to prioritize ourselves. See, if we don't prioritize ourselves, how will we take care of our other responsibilities? Okay, I have office. I do agree. I am sick today, but if I go to office, I will not be able to give my 100%. I'll be able to give my 50%. Okay, but if I am able to take this one rest today, I can do 150% tomorrow, including the 50% that I was supposed to do today, or maybe even 200%. Similarly, it applies for the house. If I rest, my body immune system and my energy is restored. When I am sick, I have n number of problems. My body is weak. I have got pain. I have got cold. I have got irritation, and all that will only make. If I'm irritated, I'll fight with someone else, right? So all these can be avoided if I prioritize myself, take rest for 1 or 2 days, and then I can take care of others. I can take care of my run. One day, if I take rest, like Preeti ma'am was saying, if we do take care of ourselves, within 7 days, we can recover from cold. If we take rest and food, my grandma used to say that if you have got cold, do one thing: drink hot water, eat hot food, and sleep. She used to say that. So if we can do this for at least 1 day, we'll be able to recover from cold very fast or flu very fast, and our overall productivity increases. And like I told, and even Amuda ma'am was telling, this is a restorative power. It's a therapy. When all our energy system is restored, see, we have the immune system, right? So what happens is this immune system, now if I have got cold, okay, this immune system is fighting against the cold and flu. But if I sleep, all my organs are at rest. They are not working. So the immune system can specifically focus on the cold and flu bacteria and viruses, and it would work better. That is why when you have cold and flu, it is suggested that resting is important. If we rest, we will avoid irritation. Okay, because of pain, fatigue, stress, short temperedness comes in, and we start fighting with the people whom we love the most. Blocked nose, can we are not able to breathe. That leads to more irritation. And then if we try to work, sometimes we go blank. We get that brain fog, which makes it difficult for us to focus on any task, process any information. We are not able to remember anything or not remember properly. So all of this will only aggravate. So if we don't take rest, all of this will happen, and maybe we can even make mistakes in our office, or maybe even in our house. You might have observed when we are unwell, we tend to make many small mistakes, even in our regular daily routine work. So that can be avoided if we take rest. But the problem is, when we take rest, we have lots of self-shaming, isn't it? We shame ourselves. We say that, oh my God, I have grown dependent on others. எனக்கு வந்து இன்னொருத்தர் மேல டிபெண்ட் I mean, I had to depend on other people. My independence is lost. Even for simple water, I have to call for someone. And then when we ask for help and they are not able to help as much as we expect, because we have very high expectations, no? And they are not able to help us as much as we want help from them, that leads to stress, tension, misunderstanding, and this self-shaming, ஐயோ நான் இன்னொருத்தர் மேல டிபெண்ட் ஆயிட்டேனே, ஐயோ my husband has to do this work, my son has to do this work, my wife has to do my seva, all this self-shaming, and we are like, I don't even have this much immunity. How weak I have grown. How I'm not grown good for nothing. All these thoughts, they start coming on us. And society also tells us, no, we cannot fall sick. After all, like someone had just put in the chat box, we award our employees who take no leave or least leave. We also award our students who are most regular in school. So the society also puts a pressure that we should not fall sick. But is it possible? Just, okay, how many of you can think of one person who has not fallen sick all their life? One person. We can never see one person who has never fallen sick. Yes, someone has put it right. They are yet to be born, right? Nobody yet. Right. Everyone falls sick. The laptop that from which I'm giving my presentation currently, even that will shut down, get crashed at times, it needs servicing. Then why cannot my body have the same thing? It can get sick. It also needs rest. In fact, most of the times, because we overwork, our immune system goes for a toss. And that is when we get most of the diseases. So if we rest a bit, we'll get the restorative power, the restorative therapy, and we can work. There is no shame in resting or falling sick. We need not isolate ourselves. Many of the times we are like, I have got cold, I should not go near my children. Very true. We should not go near our children during that time. But that doesn't mean that you should totally isolate yourself as well. You can sit with your family, maybe wearing a mask if you don't want to transfer it. But don't blame yourself, totally isolate yourself. So what can we do? This is the main part. First is stop overthinking. The moment we get sick, we start overthinking. What has happened now? What will I do for tomorrow? Should I take a leave? Should I what should I cook? Oh, I will not be able to cook. My children have to take care. And all these things will start happening. Okay. And the other thing will be, I have become a burden. I have to take rest. I don't have time to take rest. Who will take care of the house? Who will take care of the office? All these thoughts, just give a pause to it and accept. Okay, I am a human being. I have fallen sick. These many days I was working continuously in office, at home, for my family, for my friends. I have been giving over and beyond, and that is why currently I need some rest. And that is why my body is actually telling me rest. People trust your body. If your body is falling sick, that means it is lacking rest. It is a way of body asking, it's a body's way of asking for rest. So give that space and time for your body to recover. The second thing that you can do is focus on recovery. Okay, now I have fallen sick. Now what can I do? Worrying will not help. So let me focus on recovery. So whatever Preeti ma'am and Dr. Amuda has told, you can follow that. Take medicines, follow these simple home remedies and get sufficient rest. You do this, you will be on your journey to recovery. You will recover faster if you focus on solving the problem rather than worrying about the problem. And when we are sick, the thing is, we will keep getting these thoughts again and again. So have a positive distraction, not just any distraction. When I say distraction, you will say that, oh, can I see my mobile? No, already our body is weak, our eyes are weak. So mobile will not be a positive distraction. Positive distractions can be simple hobbies like listening to music, or playing one simple board game like Snake and Ladder or Ludo, or even if possible, if it is possible for you, you can also go in for a small walk inside your house itself. It will be like a positive distraction for you. And then if you are sick, that doesn't mean that lie on the bed. I'm not asking you that get rest means nalla thoongpa, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I'll sleep till that time. No. Have a loose routine. Even if you are sick, when we have a routine, it keeps us bit active. And that activeness is necessary for us to overcome the disease that we are having. A loose routine. I'm not asking you to stick to the time. Every day you wake up at 5:30. Today you wake up at 6:37. Don't wake up at 1. If you do that, we will feel more sick. Rather, wake up at 6:37. Basic hygiene of brushing and taking bath. Being sick doesn't mean that we should not take bath. If you are feeling cold, at least take a sponge bath. Doing that will make you feel fresh. When we feel fresh, we automatically will feel like, when you have positive distractions, when we feel fresh, what happens is, I mentioned the endocrine system, right? That will secrete the positive hormones, which is your dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. So what will happen is, our body, when these positive hormones start flowing, the immune system will start working better. Praying and small domestic work, like you can sit and fold the clothes or sit and cut the vegetables, small routine, taking food on time and not on your bed. Take food in the dining area wherever you sit and eat. This loose routine will actually make you move, and it will secrete the good hormones, which will increase your immunity. The happy hormones will be secreted. And similarly, have gentle movement. I'm not asking you to go and exercise, but like Amuda ma'am showed, simple, small yoga practices, small walks. Maybe you can go on the terrace for a walk. It will give you good oxygen and you'll feel fresh. Simple yoga, pranayama. Within the house, you can walk. This will increase endorphin, which will again help fight hormones. And whole day being in the house when we are sick, it will make us feel more low. It will keep making us keep overthinking. We go out, our thought will change. We will be positively distracted. Do try all of this. Okay, these 5 things, do try to stick to them. It will help you recover faster. So let us do a short summary. We are allowed to fall sick, right? From today onwards, we'll tell ourselves, I am a human being. I am allowed to fall sick. We deserve rest like all human beings. We rest for a few days and then we can work hard in the long run. And when I am sick, I'll focus on recovery, okay, and have positive distractions and small movements. Okay, so with this, I end our presentation today. These are our 3 helpline numbers for medical related, any guidance, any assistance you want. We give free medical guidance and we will put you across with affordable doctors, clinics, government schemes, etc. So you can call that number for free counseling. affordable counseling and free counseling for all school children. You can call this number. And for naturopathy and yoga, you can call the last helpline number. Please do reach out to us. Thank you very much. Now we open the dais for question and answers.
Question and answer ना क्या?
You can ask anything. You can either put it in the chat box or you can unmute and ask. There is a question already. Amuda ma'am, can you read the question and
Yes,
you
ma'am. Yes,
answer for
I'm
it,
just
ma'am?
looking at it. So Suman sir has asked, what's the portions of honey and lemon as cough repellent? So you can have it as a warm tea, basically. So in 100 to 150 ml of warm water, you can squeeze in 5 to 6 drops of raw lemon juice and 2 to 3 drops of honey. So you can just drink it as a warm tea. That will help in boosting your immunity as well as in suppressing your cough. So honey is majorly for your cough suppressant. I hope that is cleared. Any other questions?
There is one question. Kanimui ma'am has put, I'm also affected heavy sinus issue daily. I'm very depressed because of this. So for sinus, what can we do, ma'am?
Yeah, I will
Yes,
just
ma'am.
first answer on the symptoms and then Amuda ma'am and can answer will answer.
Yes.
So, Kanimuri ma'am, we would want to ask you by sinusitis, which is like chronic, what has been diagnosed so far? I mean, has any X-ray been taken? Has it been diagnosed that it is sinusitis, or because you are getting pain here, you have self-diagnosed as sinusitis? That is first point. Can we know any medicines you have been advised, or what are the steps you are taking? If you can answer. So,
கன்னிமொழி மேம் நீங்க உங்களை அன்மியூட் பண்ணி பேசலாம் மேம்.
உங்களுக்கு சைனசைட்டிஸ்னு யார் வந்து சொல்லியிருக்காங்களா இல்ல நீங்களே இந்த இடமெல்லாம் வலிக்கிறதுனால அப்படி சொல்றீங்களா? ஏன்னா அதுக்கு ஏத்த
I
மாதிரி
have a continuous sleeping till morning to evening.
from morning
Sudden
to
headache,
evening. Okay.
continuous sneezing, and severe headache.
How frequent you are getting, ma'am? How many times in a month you get like that, ma'am?
இப்போ கூட 1 week continuous I have this issue, ma'am.
ஓகே. நீங்க தலை குளிச்ச அப்புறம் நீங்க ட்ரை ஒழுங்கா பண்ணியும் இந்த சைனஸ் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குங்களா?
Yeah, I have this, ma'am.
வருது. ஓகே. Now I have asked all the symptoms. அமுதா மேம், now you can tell her. So she is ஏதாவது மருந்துகள் சாப்பிடுறீங்களா? ஏதாவது மருந்து
No,
இதுக்கு?
ma'am, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. So,
Yes.
and you are feeling depressed because of sinusitis. Ma'am, Amuda ma'am, can you tell her specific home remedies? What all she can do when she's having sinusitis, ma'am?
Yes. So, ma'am, Kanimani ma'am, when you're having sinusitis or any kind of blockages or headache, the first thing will be take a proper steam inhalation with eucalyptus oil. That will actually help a lot. And we also have a yoga, I would say Kriya practice called as Jalneti. So, which will actually be taught to you by a yoga practitioner or a yoga instructor. So that Jalneti practice is actually proven to, give you relief from sinusitis. So for the Jalneti, you'll have to get in touch with a professionally qualified naturopathic doctor, yoga practitioner. But apart from that, make sure that you're going out in fresh air, expose yourself to sunlight morning around like 6:30 to 7:30, the sun, and evening just before the sun sets, like around 4:30 to 5:30. Those sun rays, just make sure that you're exposing yourself nicely, and you can regularly apply some warm compress on your face. Like just take a cotton cloth, dip it in warm water, and just squeeze it nicely and just give it as a pat to your face, especially on areas where you get pain or blockages. Like if you get it on your head, just give it a good compress on your head, on your cheeks, on your nasal bone, etc. So there you can give compress, so that will help you in relieving your sinus issues. Yes, so apart from this, steam inhalation will help. Acupuncture will also help, and also the Jalneti practice will also help, but for which you will have to take the help of a doctor. But before practicing this also, please consult a naturopathic doctor, and then we'll have to proceed with that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
உங்களுக்கு வந்து ஃபர்தர் டீடைல்ஸ் ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கா வேணும்னா நாங்க போட்டிருக்க நம்பர்ல அந்த நேச்சுரோபதி நம்பர் கேட்டிங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு அவங்க டாக்டர் அமுதா ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவாங்க. மத்தபடி நீங்க யார்கிட்ட நீங்க சைனசைட்டிஸ் ரெகுலரா கான்ஸ்டன்டா இருக்கிறதால நீங்க இந்த ஜல்நேத்திங்கிற பிராக்டிஸ் பண்றது நல்லா இருக்கும். ஸோ நீங்க அதுக்கு காண்டாக்ட் பண்ணி பண்ணுங்க. சரிங்களா?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure, sure. Thank you. And when we do path while having fever, Saravanan sir has asked, do you mean lab test, pathological test, sir? I'll just wait for it. And meanwhile, some irrespective of the season, my kids sneeze constantly every morning as they wake up. Their sneezing subsides after 10 minutes, then they are fine. Just want to know the cause and remedy. First thing, the kids, age of the kids. Can we know the age of the kids, Gauri ma'am?
One is in the youngest one is 9 years old, and the elder one is 16 years old.
Okay, and from when are they having it? For how many
This
years?
they not for the years. This they have started having it recently, maybe for the past 6 months.
And what was the difference in the 6 months? Did you change your house or did you change the location or
No,
have
nothing of that sort. And
no,
we do the constant dusting and all is on place.
it's the same type of broom you use, the same type of vacuum, the same type of detergents, everything is same.
Yeah, everything is the same.
Even the bed sheets which we soak and use, the detergent
Yes.
is same or anything
Yes.
else has
It's
changed?
the same. It's the same.
So actually, of course, when from whatever you are saying, you yourself would know that it's something related to allergic. They are allergic to something when they wake up, and their body gets accustomed after 10 minutes. That's what is happening.
Yeah.
So actually, in allopathy, the correct procedure would be to visit a ENT specialist who might be able to, some might be able to identify the allergens. Nowadays, there are tests for allergens.
Okay.
So which allergen is causing, they will have, if you give blood sample, they will test and give you. So these are the allergens for which, and they will also measure the IgE, immunoglobulin E. So
Okay.
they will test and they may be able to tell, but they may be only. So you also have to look back because you're specifically saying 6 months. Any food has changed or any beverage like Horlicks, Boost or something has changed, or water has changed from can water to RO, or either any difference because there is something which is causing the allergic.
Yeah,
So
that has happened only to the kids, but the elders are not facing it.
yeah, so again,
No.
you will have to find out whether they are drinking any water in their school or they are having anything specific, which is like during the, the whole night they are fine. Probably in the morning, something is causing the allergy to them. And
Okay.
anybody in the family has any history of allergy. So all that you find, and if needed, see, actually, if it's okay. It's nowadays with so much allergens, pollutants, it's fine. This is fine actually if it's not causing too much symptoms. But you can always get the allergy test done and keep, because in the future, if it's going to increase, that will help you that will help the doctor identify what can be given for them. Because the antihistaminics the doctor will prescribe based on their symptoms and this allergy test. But that will be done for the allopathic side. So to visit the allergy specialist. Now to Amuda ma'am, in case of continuous sneezing acutely, like when they have, is there any remedy which they can try, ma'am, as children?
So, ma'am, so basically from what ma'am has told us, I feel the kids might have allergic rhinitis. So that is actually early morning cough and congestion of the nose, etc., which is actually also seen in adults also. So as you suggested that we will have to check for the IgE levels and we'll have to find out if they're having any kind of allergic reactions, to which naturopathic remedies will be different for each. But in general, maybe they can follow like regular cleaning of bed sheets, proper sun drying of them. And also they can start giving like 1 amla per day to each of the kid to improve the immunity. Yes, 1 amla, or like just whatever we have spoken about, the 1 lemon and honey tea or ginger and turmeric tea. And so all that will actually help. You can also use diffusers, aromatic diffusers at your home, where you can put in eucalyptus oil into the diffuser and you can just use it as a room freshener. So that will actually make your nasal passages more clear. So when the kids sleep sleep throughout the night with that smell or something, maybe the next day morning they will not have so much of congestion or sneezing. So eucalyptus oil will actually help. Not just eucalyptus oil, even tea tree oil will also help in this. So you can actually use aromatherapy diffusers in your room as room fresheners and just try and see. But you will have to take a test, just like how ma'am has suggested, to rule out any allergies, and then we can actually focus on naturopathic remedies. But you can start giving amla per every day. You can start giving amla to your kids. One big amla, even 1 or 2 amlas will be fine. It improves the immunity in a long way. Yeah.
To add on to this question, Amuda ma'am, there is another participant who has asked to increase immunity in children. What is the regular immunity booster for children throughout the month they can give?
Okay.
Mm.
So same, like any kind of vitamin C rich diet will actually improve immunity. So for being children, we cannot give them like kashayams, which they won't like it. So you can actually take amla, you can just mix it up with a drop of honey and give it to them as a snack or something, or you can get dried amlas from outside, which you get, so that you can give it as a snack. So amlas will actually work wonders even when the immune system is not fully developed. Yeah, so that for children, the immune system is still developing. So you can give amlas to your children to improve immunity. I think apart from that, we need not prescribe herbal teas at such a young age. So we can just stick only to amla and vitamin C rich fruits, etc. So I think that will do the trick.
Yes, and regarding one more participant had told that whenever they actually, when they go to the office, due to AC, they get recurrent cold. So to answer, to also going back to Gauri ma'am's question, you should also check the AC. If they are sleeping in the AC, the children may be allergic to something in the AC also, if you have done a cleaning or something. So in that case, as ma'am said, you can use a diffuser or some eucalyptus oil on the bed, drop on their pillow if it's fine with them. But you have to test and check. You can also consult a naturopathic physician and do. And ma'am, when adults have to go to the office, there will be AC, and some people are getting recurrent cold due to the AC. In those cases, how can they benefit from naturopathic remedies in office, which they can do daily, ma'am?
So in office, ma'am, when they get continuous sneezing, we have acupressure points which will actually stop the sneezing actually. So that is one thing that will just be like an immediate relief or something, which they would be guided to upon by a naturopathic practitioner regarding the acupressure points. Apart from that, they can make sure that their seating is a little away from the AC vent, not like very directly to on the AC vent, but a little away from the AC vent. And they can always carry a eucalyptus oil or a tea tree oil along with them, and they can just add 1 or 2 drops of oil into the handkerchief or the tissue which they're using and keep smelling it often, so that will also subside the congestion or the sneezing which they experience during the office hours. Again, the level of eucalyptus oil, the level of tea tree oil will depend on everybody's body. So that you will have to consult and then you will have to take it.
And to add on to ma'am, as I mentioned, take a lot of probiotic and prebiotic foods, because these naturopathic remedies will always help in long term. The gut immunity will only boost up your entire system immunity. So probiotic and prebiotic foods are essential. And one more doubt regarding heating RO water. So apparently it's been found by research that RO water is slightly neutral or slightly acidic, which is actually, we are all drinking RO. We can't do anything about it. It's like I also drink RO water only, but it's better to, because nowadays RO water have filters, which is like which will filter and give. So it is not as such needed to heat RO water and drink, because it may increase the pH or the acidity. During cold and fever, then we heat and give to for the mucus only. But this is my personal suggestion. You need not heat RO water. You can heat regular drinking water from sources. You have to boil it properly to the temperature, like it should boil for up to 20 minutes. Then only the basic organisms will get killed. By natural sources, I mean well water, river water, all that. If you are accessible, then you can heat and give. RO water can be drunk as such. It's better not to heat, but if there is no way, you can heat. So that is the present consensus, but you can also refer to other sources. And somebody
ma'am,
has asked,
we've
ma'am,
got,
Amla. Amla
Yes,
juice
ma'am. We
and
have got one more. Feeling tiredness has become a regular thing in the morning times from Vijay sir. Um, 7 hours of sleep is there. Only thing is that the fresh air is not much, I think, as we keep the windows shut for mosquitoes. So any instant turnaround available. So in naturopathy, if I have to go ahead, I can tell you that fresh air is very important for your body to function in a very effective manner. So if you're having mosquito issues, maybe you can keep the windows and the doors closed once it gets dark outside. But once you wake up in the morning, make sure that you get a good amount of fresh air and good amount of ventilation in your house. And also maybe you can go in for a brisk walk. I mean, not a brisk walk at least a stroll in the morning sunlight. That will also give you instant boost of energy. And apart from that, we also prescribe ABC juice, that is apple, beetroot, and carrot, just in equal quantities. You'll just have to grind them and then you'll have to drink them. Yes, or you can also use, instead of apple, you can use ashgard. That is white pumpkin, ashgard, beetroot, and carrot in equal quantities. Grind them and drink. That will help you in giving a good energy, a good start to the day. So that will also be helpful in overcoming tiredness. And also try and include lots of nuts and seeds in your diet. You can soak them overnight and you can have them in the morning. That will also help in relieving the tiredness.
Neha ma'am, I would also ask your opinion on tiredness after still 7 hours sleep. Could any other psychological aspect be
Yes,
there?
I was going to come to that, ma'am. So feeling tired even after 7 hours of sleep. So we have to check first if the 7 hours of sleep is good sleep or not, or if it is a disturbed sleep. Second thing is if there is burnout or fatigue, then also we wake up in the morning, we'll have tiredness. Or if we have a feeling of unsatisfaction or somewhere a disharmony is there, we are not satisfied with whatever was going on in our life, which is also running throughout the day. 7 hours of sleep will not be sufficient. You will have a number of tiredness. I'm not talking in terms of hours of sleep, but tiredness. No matter how many hours you sleep, the morning tiredness will be there. So you can also check for that, sir, as to how is your life going on in terms of satisfaction, how is your life going on in terms of tiredness or burnout, and maybe you can work on those aspects as well.
And two more questions. One is I'm having early morning cold and congestion daily. After a while, it goes away when I go out of the home. So as I mentioned, it could be allergens. There must be something allergic to you in the house. It may be the clothes, it may be the soap, it may be the detergents, it may be the AC, it may be the other perfumes we use. You know, some perfumes also can cause, and that could be one reason. So for morning cold and congestion, ma'am, you had suggested, Dr. Amuda ma'am, for amla for kids and also eucalyptus oil and another thing. Anything other than that will you suggest for regular ma'am, regular for
You mean for adults, ma'am?
adults, morning cold and congestion they are having. Yes.
Okay, so for morning cold and congestion, it's actually a universal treatment, ma'am. Amlas and the lemon with honey and everything is actually the universal treatment. They can maybe include a lot of turmeric in their diet, a lot of ginger and garlic, as we already discussed. A lot of raw garlic in the diet will actually improve immunity. But the reason here might also be like, nowadays we use a lot of air conditioning even when we are sleeping. So the entire room and the windows are closed. So 8 hours, we don't know that the room is closed. So we tend to have a good sleep. But once we wake up, we tend to feel a little, it's very close and it's a little claustrophobic, or, it's a little congested. So there are a lot of, the smell of that congestion for some people might trigger this cold and congestion every day. So once they wake up, they're in a very closed room. There is no fresh air. There is no proper airflow. It has only been the AC air and the AC particles, air particles are coming out. So that might trigger this. So maybe my suggestion would be, once they wake up, before they can just go out in fresh air and do some basic pranayam techniques, which will actually help in subsiding this frequent sneezing. Yeah, so that I think is my suggestion.
One more question, ma'am. They're asking whether amla juice or lemon juice will increase the sinusitis, ma'am. Regular
Increase
intake
sinusitis
and
means will it
will it increase
exaggerate
the
it?
cold? Will exaggerate the cold? Is it a
No,
possibility?
it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Okay.
It's actually beneficial for sinusitis.
Yeah, that is actually a misconception, as Amuda ma'am says. It is beneficial. Vitamin C, amla juice, and lemon juice, but we should not take it cold. because we all tend to put ice, sweet, sugar, all of that, it becomes like that. If you drink plain amla juice, lemon juice in warm water, nothing will happen. And another thing is AC has become a very common thing. We request you all to clean the AC vents once in 6 months at least, and the RO water unit once in 6 months. And the
And
day
bed
it is
sheets, ma'am,
cleaned,
bed sheets every 1 week.
bed sheets every 1 week. The day it is cleaned, some people will get cold only after that. They will say, ma'am, you asked me to clean, next day only I got cold. It's because the change in the organisms, but it is beneficial in the long run. So ensure that every one of you clean your blankets, bed sheets, and everything once in a week. The AC vents once in 6 months, and the RO water unit once in 6 months. But after that, in the family, some people may get cold and cough, which will become okay in a day or two. Follow the remedies. But otherwise, please ensure that will overcome lot of this cold, congestion, sinusitis problems. And never use too much of over smelling perfumes. And newer perfumes, don't try. You have to always, that is why they say that allergy test, we don't do it. Any perfume, you try on it for a day in a small place, you smell it, then if you don't get any symptoms, you will use it. And yeah, whatever you've been using, continue to it. Don't go for strong perfumes. That will irritate the nasal pathways and the bronchial pathways. So that's
Also like amla juice, lemon juice, we also have a myth related to curd that if we have curd, we'll get cold, we'll have sinus problem aggravated. So this has been something that has been told in our society again and again that don't eat it or you'll get this cold or something like that. So if you have doubt, like no, I'll get it, then have it during the day. Don't have it in the evening or in the night. Then that way, even if you feel okay, I might get, the chances will be very much reduced because you are having it during the day.
very important
And
thing, as Nega ma'am says, you can have curd, but don't put it in the refrigerator. Take the curd out and have. That is the worst thing to have a curd, because it will cause immediate cold fever for anybody, and who's having cold fever will increase it. If you are having curd, it should be kept outside and had, especially during fever and cold. You should plan your curd, the making curd, the fermenting curd, and the oraikoothradungiradhu. You will have to maintain 2 vessels of curd for a day. One you should put it in the morning for the night, and for the next day morning you can put it night, but from the refrigerator it should be outside for at least 2 hours before you consume it. If you immediately take the curd out of the refrigerator and have, all of this will happen. So that's very important. And
ma'am,
curd
and
is
also,
definitely probiotic. It is very, very good. You can have, but if you have a doubt, make it into buttermilk. Make it, beat it in a mixie, make it into buttermilk. Talichify, you have to put all the curry leaves and the mustard. Then that time, the microorganisms which will cause harm will be destroyed in the curd. So that is more good for as a probiotic. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to say something.
yes, ma'am. And also, amla, if taken raw, is very beneficial. So I just wanted to make a note that anything which can be taken inside raw needs to be taken in raw. Anything which cannot be taken as raw can be made into juices. Like, for example, lemon, we can't bite and have it. So we'll have to make it as a juice and have it, or lemon tea and have it. So whereas amla, we can have it raw. So the more raw we have it, the more beneficial it would be. So I just wanted to clear that point.
One more question, Amuda ma'am. Can people
Yes,
with sinus issues or wheezing issues take water content rich vegetables like ashgard?
why not? We
No,
can.
this is again a misconception and
I
myth.
know we
We
can,
all
because
tend to
Ashgard
think
is a wonderful detoxificant. So it actually takes away all the toxins from your body. So any kind of discomfort which is actually present in your body is caused because of toxins. That is what we feel in naturopathy. So when there's accumulation of toxins, that is when you get some kind of disease. Here, for example, sinus. So when your toxins they just go away, that is when your disease is also getting relieved. So Ashgard here, the white pumpkin, is a wonderful detoxifying agent. So it's going to remove your toxins like anything. So yes, you can have it, but not cold. Yes, anything not cold. You can actually have it warm or neutral. That is fine.
Yes, one
You
more
can maybe make it
information.
into an Ashgard sambar or something like that, which is warm, and you can have it, or Ashgard kootu or whatever dish you prefer warm, you'll have to have it, not cold. You can have it neutral also at room temperature. That is.
Yeah, one more information is always these infections or allergic rhinitis is one part, but when it's infection due to infection causing cold, it is from an infected product. I mean, whatever you have eaten or wherever you have gone, through the air or through the food, you have contracted. There is microorganisms present in the stale food or in the air. You cannot get something which is very sterile and kept in the refrigerator, or sterile and cooked at home. You cannot get it if it's sterile. By sterile, I mean well boiled, cooked to the right proportion, not old vegetables. So all those, if you avoid itself, you will not get it. So by people, just by taking, I took something cold. There's nothing called cold vegetables which can cause cold. Vegetables will never cause cold. Fruits will never cause cold. If you eat a stale vegetable or a stale fruit, if you keep it for 5 days and then eat it, or if you buy from a place where it is cut and kept for a long time, where they didn't wash their hands while cutting, then we will get a cold. For example, if you eat cut watermelons from the road, then you may get cold. So it's not the watermelon which is causing the cold, it's the infection or the virus or the bacteria in the watermelon which is causing the cold. So always you should ensure that what you are eating is clean, sterile, then these things will not go. So there's nothing called cold causing vegetables. But apparently in Siddha, according to the body constitution, they will split your body into whether you have more of kapham, that is the phlegm, or you have more of pitham, the bile, or you vatam, that is for the neural problems. But that is a different means of treatment. For that, you should go to a Siddha practitioner and get what is suitable for your body in the form of medicines or in the form of food if you're suffering from a disease. But if you're a healthy person, no fruit or no vegetable is ever bad unless and until you eat it in an infected manner. So always remember that. So there's nothing like this can cause me cold or that can be cause me cold. No, vegetables and fruits cannot cause cold. If it's infected, it will cause cold. I think that's it for today. If any more questions, we'll be happy to answer. But I'm very happy for the audience, and they were very interactive, and thanks to all.
Yes, ma'am. We have got one more query.
How to prepare lemon
How
tea?
to prepare
Yes, ma'am.
lemon tea. Yes, ma'am. Lemon tea is nothing but you'll just have to boil a little of water, maybe 100 to 150 ml of water. Actually, you can take 200 ml of water, bring it down to 150 ml or 100 ml, and then you can just add in like 2 to 3 drops of lemon. Oh, sorry, 5 to 6 drops of lemon, raw lemon juice on it, and then 1 to 2 drops of honey, and that's your lemon tea. Yes, I hope I'm clear. 150
Can they
ml.
add anything more to it, ma'am? Like ginger, honey?
They can add ginger, and they can combine everything and have it, ma'am. Like ginger, lemon, a pinch of turmeric, and then a pinch of and a pinch of honey. Yes, they can do it. A pinch of pepper also they can. But that will become more hot, that will become very, it won't be very
Kashayam-ish.
for them to, it'll become more like kashayam. So this is like, we can call it as a tea. So that's,
Good.
for that.
Sure. And thanks to all the participants. Thanks to honey in hot water. Is it okay, ma'am?
Yes, we are just adding 1 or 2 drops. So that will not do
Ma'am,
anything.
and there is a myth which I also have heard. Like honey, if taken is it a myth or a fact? Is it true? Like honey, when should be taken? But in morning, it causes weight loss, and in the night, it causes weight gain. What's the right time to take honey, ma'am?
Weight loss and weight gain, ma'am, they depend on your calorie intake. Honey or lemon or warm water, hot water, neutral water, doesn't matter. It all depends on the calorie. It depends on your basal metabolic rate, metabolism. Everything plays a role in weight loss and weight gain. And it has nothing to do with lemon or honey or, external or herbal supplements that are going to help you lose your weight. Unless and until you are on a calorie deficit, or you're on a calorie higher level of calories for weight gain, or a calorie deficit for weight loss, any number of herbal intakes you do, they're not going to help you, unfortunately.
I need to rest. I need to properly maintain the diet amount, the amount of food I eat, the right amount of exercise.
Yes.
If I do that only, whatever honey, whenever I take, it will be useful or harmful.
Based on your BMI, a naturopathy doctor will be able to calculate what your metabolic rate is. And depending on the metabolic rate, we will be able to provide you the required calorie intake, which you'll have to have in one day. Like, for example, one average adult needs like 2,000, 2,500 calories per day. But if you're looking for a weight loss, and if your basal metabolic rate is somewhere near 1,800 calories only, we'll put you on a deficit of 1,600 calories only. So you will be on a 200 calorie deficit. So that is what will help you in weight loss and fat loss. So, yes.
One last question, ma'am. So you are talking about this adding pepper, turmeric, everything is beneficial, right? But sometimes we heard that I don't know, this is a myth. There is something called, we say body heat, right? At home we say ushna romba jasti aayittu. So that times we heard that adding regularly taking pepper and turmeric like this in kashayam on a daily basis is also not good. Is that something that we have to consider,
So,
even though they are beneficial?
So yes, sir. See, pepper, yes, tends to increase body heat. I accept that. But to neutralize, we are just going to add 1 pinch of pepper, 1 pinch of turmeric. You're not going to add spoonfuls of pepper or turmeric. Yes. So when you add that pinch of pepper every day, you will have to neutralize that with your water intake. You can actually you will have to have lots of water. Pepper is separate, water is separate. So just having a pinch of pepper every day is not going to increase your body heat if you're having a good amount of water intake. Water intake in the form of tender coconut water or buttermilk or even regular water, 3.5 liters, given the summer now, it's 3.5 to 4 liters is like mandatory for everybody. So when you balance or, neutralize your body with that, this is not going to cause you any kind of body heat.
And good that you brought that question, sir. So I would try to answer from the scientific part of it. So this body heat, okay? This body heat is actually what we call as heat is actually inflammation going inside the body, going on inside the body. So it is not entirely wrong. It's entirely actually, it's an existing phenomenon. For example, some persons without having any infection may suddenly get a lower abdominal pain. That they will call as உடம்புல சூடு ஏறிடுச்சு, உடம்புல heat ஆயிடுச்சு. But apparently that abdominal pain is caused by some agent which has caused inflammation in the stomach and the intestine. So you will also go back and you will need to think what you had that triggered the inflammation. It need not cause an infection. It may not cause diarrhea. It may not cause vomiting. So only when we get vomiting and diarrhea, we think that we have got an infection, food poisoning. But apparently, அந்த abdominal pain, அந்த சூடுன்னு நம்ம சொல்ற போதே நம்ம உடம்புல ஏதோ ஒரு இன்ஃபெக்ஷனோ இல்லை ஏதோ ஒரு ஏஜென்ட் வந்து இன்ஃப்ளமேஷனை ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஸோ அப்பேரண்ட்லி அதுக்கு எதிரான ரெமெடிஸை நம்ம எடுக்கணும். ஸோ அப்போ வந்து அந்த நேரத்தில் அடிக்கடி அந்த மாதிரி அப்டாமினல் அடிவயிறு வலிக்குது, இல்லைன்னா யூரின் போகும்போது எரியுது, இல்லை இது மாதிரி தான் சூடு உஷ்ணத்துக்கு, இல்லை கண்ணில் தண்ணி வருது, இந்த மாதிரி தான் நம்ம சூடாகுது உடம்புன்னு சொல்லுவோம். அந்த சூடாகுதுன்னு சொல்லும் போது உடம்புக்குள்ள ஏதோ ஒரு சின்ன இன்ஃபெக்ஷன் காசிங்கோ இல்லை இன்ஃப்ளமேஷன் ட்ரிகரிங் ஏஜென்ட்டோ இருக்குன்னு அர்த்தம். ஸோ அதுக்கு அந்த ஹோம் ரெமெடிஸோ நேச்சுரோபதி கன்சல்டேஷனோ பண்ணி நீங்கள் எடுத்துக்கலாம். இல்லைனாலும் திங்க் பேக் பண்ணி நம்ம என்ன சாப்பிட்டோம், இல்லை என்ன பண்ணோம், அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன வந்தது, எங்கேருந்து இந்த இன்ஃபெக்ஷனோ இந்த ஏஜென்ட்டோ வந்திருக்குங்கிறத கண்டுபிடிச்சி அல்லோபதியோ ஹோமியோபதியோ நேச்சுரோபதியோ நீங்கள் அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் எடுக்கணும். அவுட் ஆஃப் த ப்ளூ வெறும் என் உடம்பு நல்லா இருக்கும் போது எந்த ஒரு வெளியிலேருந்து எந்த ஒரு ஏஜென்ட்டும் வராமல் இந்த உஷ்ணம் ஆக முடியாது. நம்ம வெறும் சாப்பிட்றதால நம்ம டயட் ஒழுங்கா இருக்கும்போது இப்போ நீங்க நம்ம எல்லாரும் நினைப்போம்ல சில சாப்பாடு சாப்பிட்டா உடம்புல உஷ்ணம் ஏறிடும்னு. அந்த உஷ்ணம் எப்போ ஏறும்னா உள்ளுக்குள்ள வேற ஏதோ ஒரு இன்ஃபெக்ஷன் ஏஜென்ட்டும் உள்ள உட்கார்ந்துருந்தாதான் அந்த உஷ்ணம் சேர்த்து ஏறும். ஸோ அந்த ஏஜென்ட்டை சரி பண்ணிட்டு நம்ம டயட்டை ஒழுங்கா சாப்பிட்டோம்னா எந்த சாப்பாடு வேணா கரெக்டான உணவுல என்னைக்குமே மோசமான உணவுன்னு நம்ம இது வரைக்கும் நம்மளால கண்டுபிடிக்கப்பட்ட உணவுகள் ஃப்ரூட்ஸு வெஜிடபிள்ஸ்ல மோசமான ஃப்ரூட்டு மோசமான வெஜிடபிள் சூட ஏற்றுற வெஜிடபிள் இல்லை கோல்டு ஏற்றுற வெஜிடபிள் ஃப்ரூட்டுன்னு கிடையாது. நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி அதில் ஏதோ ஒரு ஆர்கானிசம் ஏதோ ஒன்று இல்லை ஒரு அலர்ஜென்ட் உட்கார்ந்துருக்கணும். தென் ஒன்லி இட் கேன் காஸ் ஆல் ஆஃப் திஸ் உஷ்ணம் இல்லை சளி இல்லை கோல்டு உருவாக முடியும். So that is a very important point. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. To follow it up with you, with yours, actually, as I already told, everybody is different. So, body we will prescribe you what kind of tea you can have, even for improving your general immunity. So, what we discussed was just we can add all this in the tea, but that does not apply to everybody. So, ipo ma'am sonna madri ipo vata pitta kapangar and the balance the Siddha doctors will be able to prescribe you what to have and what not to have. The same applies for even naturopathy also. So, you will have to take in a proper personal consultation, and then only you can actually stick to any one particular tea or any one kashayam per se. Yes, so they will be able to guide you better because again, everybody is different. It reacts in different manner. Yes, and also to add on to Alamelu ma'am's question, honey in hot water, is it okay? It is okay, but not in boiling water. Honey should not be added in boiling water because honey tends to coagulate. Yes, so when you add it in boiling water, it tends to coagulate, it tends to become a very hard substance. Yes, not in boiling water, you can bring it down from the stove, make it a little warm, because we won't be able to drink it so hot. Yeah? So we will bring it down to that normal drinkable temperature. So once in the drinkable temperature, you can add in this lemon and you can add in this honey. Drinkable temperature, I don't mean neutral temperature, it has to be hot for your throat, but something which is bearable. So I hope that is clear.
Yes, and to add on, இந்த இதுக்கெல்லாம் இந்த டிஸ்கஷனுக்கெல்லாம் இந்த வாதம் கபம் பித்தம்னு நம்மளோட பாடி ஃப்ளூயிட் மேக்கப் இருக்கு இல்லையா, அது வந்து நம்ம ஏற்கனவே பலது நம்ம கடைப்பிடிக்காம நம்ம சரியா டைமுக்கு when we may not sleep on time, we may be working all time, having all the stress, eating all the junk food, processed food without any balance exercise, then we would have spoiled our body balance. Then when we take something, what happens is this body fluid which is higher for a person, for example, if எனக்கு வந்து நான் வந்து கப்பமான பர்சன் அப்படின்னா எனக்கு சீக்கிரமா சளியும் கோல்டும் அதிகமாயிடும். ஸோ ஏற்கனவே உடம்பு வந்து மோசமா இருக்கும். அப்போ அந்த அந்த ஃபுட்டு சாப்பிடும் போது அந்த மியூக்கஸ் செக்ரீஷனால அதிகமாகிடும். ஸோ அடிக்கடி இந்த மாதிரி ஆகுதுன்னா உங்க பாடி பேலன்ஸை திரும்பி ஒழுங்கான நிலைக்கு கொண்டு வந்துட்டோன்னா எல்லா டயட்டும் ப்ராப்பர், எல்லாமே குடிக்கலாம், எல்லாமே சாப்பிடலாம். இல்லைன்னா இது சொன்ன எல்லா ரெமடியுமே மோசமாகும். ஸோ அவங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி ஒவ்வொருத்தரோட பாடி மேக்கப், ப்ரெசன்ட் டிசீஸ் கண்டிஷன், ப்ரெசன்ட் ஸ்டேட் ஆஃப் த பாடி எந்த லெவல்ல நம்ம இருக்கோமோ அதுக்கு ஏத்த மாதிரி நம்மளா டெய்லர் பண்ணிக்கணும். If we are actually, I think thanks to all the participants, it was really an interactive session. I learned a lot.
Yes, ma'am. So
from
before we
Dr.
wind
Amuda
up, I
and
just
Neha.
have a small announcement to make to our participants, ma'am. So to everybody who's present here, first of all, thank you for joining. And we would also like to inform all of you that we have yoga sessions which are happening at DAV Mogape, DAV Gopalapuram, DAV Gilnagar, and also through online. So you can get in contact with the Naturopathy and Yoga helpline number. We'll be able to guide you. We are doing it at a very serviceable cost of just 200 rupees per month, where we expose you to different yoga asanas, pranayam, meditation, and therapeutic yoga as well, like yoga nidra, etc. So those who are interested to join our yoga classes either online or offline at these 3 centers, please get in touch with the ASF Naturopathy and Yoga helpline number, and we'll be really happy to help you. Yes, thank you all.
Yes, thank you so much, Amuda ma'am. Thank you so much, Neha ma'am. Thank you so much, Shanmugapriya ma'am. Thanks to the management, thanks to management of DAV and the organizers. It was a great session. Thank you, audience, for bringing in so many questions which made us learn from you all as well. Looking forward to another webinar in the future. We'll be organizing monthly webinars, one on psychological aspects for the Mind Care webinar by one of the experts, and one on this holistic remedies for each type of medical issues. So that is our about our initiative. Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone.